Welcome back to Big Fat Fish Cards. In this video, we have a little bit of a different video. We're not going to be talking about Pokemon today. We're going to be talking about something else that I think needs your attention and is getting pretty crazy. So you may have heard of a game called Riftbound, and it's all of a sudden exploded. Not only myself, but my brother is actually the one that introduced me to the game. But actually, I actually have a few cards here. Look at that. This is convenient. I have a Kaisa here, alt art. It's based on the League of Legends video game. So it's a card game based on League of Legends. So there's all of the characters from League of Legends. If you play League, you know. Even if you don't play League, there's a lot of people that don't play League that are either like into Pokemon or into Magic or whatever that are playing Riftbound. It's actually an incredibly like fun game to play, and it's not as like super try hard as like Magic or some of the other card games. So the actual playability of the games is getting crazy, as well as some of the cards that are selling and some of the auctions that we're seeing right now. So PSA 10s are just going absolutely ballistic for the game, and we'll get into why that is and what to look out for. But let's just jump right into it. So I always like to browse first. We'll just go straight to eBay, number one source, obviously. So if we look here, we've got. We'll just kind of go through things, and I'll just point out stuff that jumps out at me, and what you should be looking at here, like what we're really talking about. So. Let's just get a little frame of reference here. If you don't know anything about Riftbound, I think this is the perfect video to watch. I'm going to break it all down for you. So, first thing to know, the rarities in the card game. We have things like this, alt arts. So alt arts are fairly easy to pull. They're about 1 in 10 packs-ish. You get it like 2 or 3 per booster box usually. So relatively easy to pull, but some of the more popular characters or the better arts or the more playable cards will fetch like a solid price. Like this Kaisa from set 1 was like an $80 card, and then it dropped like 50, and then it's going to be good again, so it went back up to 80, right? All based on playability, not necessarily collectability. So the fact that we're seeing this PSA 10 sold at 240 is a little concerning. That's a little crazy. Kaisa is one of the most popular characters in League of Legends, so you'll see it as we go through the list. A lot of it is based around who's popular in the game, the popular champs, stuff like that. So that's alt arts. That's first. I guess we'll go further. Obviously, you have your commons, your uncommons, and your rares. And then after that, you have what's called epics. Epics are about 1 in 4 packs. They're kind of like your regular EX in Pokemon. Usually, the cards will be a little bit nicer, a little bit like cooler, and usually pretty playable. Like the good ones are playable, and the bad ones are a dollar or 50 cents or whatever. So you're not getting into anything that's expensive in the epic category usually, unless it's like really, really broken in the game. After that, we have the alt arts, which are a little bit harder to pull than epics. Usually they're an alt art of the epic. So that's the alt art. And then the next category is overnumbered, which basically means it's like a secret rare in Pokemon. The card number is more than the set number. So those will be your special arts. Not every card gets an overnumbered. Those are about 1 in 3 boxes. So that's kind of like your SIR in Pokemon. And then after that, you have your signature overnumbereds, which are kind of like the One Piece mangas. Like 1 in 2 or 3 cases is usually how much it takes to get a sig. And those go for a lot of money, as we'll see in this list. So those are the top hit in most of the sets. In set 3, they came out with a card that's called the Ultimate Rarity, and that's Baron Nashor. I don't know if we'll get to any in this video. But basically one card that's supposed to be super, super hard to pull. They messed it up for the first set they did it on, and it's too easy to pull. They came out and said, like, we made a mistake, and it's in too many boxes. So it's cheaper than it should be in this set, but I assume they'll come out with more in the future. This card game is barely, it's like almost a year old at this point. Maybe not even. So they're only on set 3. Set 4 is about to come out. So just insane what's happening in the market. And we'll get into some news after this as well. So let's just get going here. This Kaisa is kind of insane. These Chinese cards or these aren't Chinese. These are like the trial cards that came out before the game was actually printed. So they are pretty collectible, like just a concept before the cards were actually official. So this is Ari, is one of the most popular characters from the second set. The Spirit Blossom is like a really popular skin in the game, so that was what makes this card so much. $1,700 is an insane spike. I don't think this price will hold. I think we were seeing sales less than this already. But also Kaisa, insanely popular, $1,300. These cards are about. This card is about $600 or $700 raw now, and this card is about I don't know, probably close to that. But the market has just been absolutely insane. Like a month ago, the Kaisa was probably 250, and the RE was maybe 300 or 400. It's always been a little bit more, but just an insane jump up of like 50%, 80%, 100% in like a week. We'll get into like this is an overnumbered here. So this is our first SIG on the list, and we got an RE right below that for $12,000. Super super insane. When this came out, the RE SIG was like $1,500 maybe. You know, like it was up there a little bit, but like let's click into this a little bit further. So this is Ari from Origins. This is Ari from Spirit Forge. So they obviously different skins, different arts, same character. So let's get into this Ari here. So you'll see the signature obviously on the card, the set and the number down below. Kind of your standard card game, right? League of Legends on the back. So what stands out to me when I'm looking at this, if you look here, the total population sits just above 300 cards. If you know anything about card games or about collectibles, this is extremely, extremely low, which is why they're going for so much right now. Now, whether that's because they're backed up at PSA, could be the case. I don't think it's likely. I think maybe there's a couple hundred there. Like this might hit 1,000, but you know that's still incredibly low. And you see, we have 270 10s and 39s, incredibly easy to grade, and that's a theme throughout all of Riftbound. The cards are super, super clean, super crispy. They all look very, very good. So really easy to grade across the whole card game. Super low pops, you know, for a card that is ultra hard to pull. On top of it being a cool artwork and one of the favorite characters, just adds fuel to the fire. So we'll keep going here. Not much else to talk about. All of these prices are insane. Obviously, this guy. So this card was selling for. Oh, this is the regular. Oh. So there's a promo of this card that's around $500-600 right now that we just bought a bunch of. This is the regular alt art. So this card's like almost like an EX or like a full art EX in Pokemon. So that's selling for $100 on 10 is crazy for a card game that really shouldn't have this like collector market. This is a little unbelievable. This card is $2,000. I recently bought a lot of these. I'm not going to say how much for how many, but I bought a lot of these and they were not $2,000 when I bought them. So that's insane. I actually need to text my brother about that swiftly. That's a little ridiculous. Let's be honest here. So these are all sold yesterday. We're getting into yesterday now. Jinx. So this is like the trial deck. Kind of the same thing, right? Overnumbered. An auction. Ryan's Carlos went to 1,700 for Ari. That's crazy. Maybe that price will hold. That's an insane price. This is ridiculous. Like we have regular alt arts at $300 for Ari. Obviously, Ari is like the most popular character by far. It's like Pikachu. It's like Charizard. It's like Umbreon. Like this is kind of what we expect. As we're looking through this here, Teemo prize for $1,000. Like it's just unbelievable how much it's gone up and how much more can it go up. But when we look at like the populations, right? So this is Ari Sig from set 2. The one we were looking at earlier was from set 1. Right? We're at 350 population. 350. That is like a drop of sand. That is a grain of sand. If we look at some of these Pokemon cards, like let's find a Pokemon card that's like $10,000. Like let's look at base set Charizard. There's like 100,000 of them graded. For this to have 350 in all populations is unbelievable. It's unbelievably low. So I think the prices will keep exploding like this unless one of two things happens. Number one, there's a huge backlog at PSA and they all get graded and we start to see like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 population. That will drive the price down. But unless we see that, it's not going to go down. If there's no supply to crash the market can't crash. So we're just going to see this number, right? Obviously, this is a new set, so it's still going to be printed probably. Boxes are still getting opened. So this number will creep up. And like I said, I think we'll hit that 1,000 mark. But there's not that much product printed of this in general. Like stores got... Spirit Forge was better than Origins. Origins, the first set was pretty bad. Boxes were over MSRP and packs were expensive. Spirit Forge kind of dipped under MSRP for a little while, and now I think it's climbing back up because there's a $12,000 card in this set, right? It makes sense. So we're seeing kind of a one-piece effect here. It's just unbelievable. Origin boxes, right? Set 1 will always be collectible. Creeping into 250, 200 range. From the UK. Spirit Forge in the 150 range. Cases approaching $2,000. Most IPs are reliant on the IP to carry the card game, right? Pokemon, the card game, is popular because Pokemon in general is popular. Not the other way around. The cards didn't... I mean, maybe this time you could argue, like, since the recent boom. But in general, the show came out in, 1999 or whatever. Like, the IP, the franchise has always been popular. The cards have been the secondary, like, oh, I like Pokemon. Pokemon cards seem like the default, like, collectible thing to buy, stuff like that. In this case, I think Riftbound will outgrow League of Legends, and I think it will become popular enough in itself because the card game is so good that the mechanics are good. It's fun to play. It's not super complicated. It's easy to get into, yet it can still be very complex at the highest levels. And actually, the news I wanted to get into, I almost forgot. This is, I think, is the catalyst. We were waiting for something like this to really go all in on Riftbound and be like, okay, is this something that is viable? Is this something that is just going to die? But we've received this news. Here we go. If you know anything about League of Legends, you'll know that T1 is like the most popular team, I think. I don't know anything about League of Legends, so it's hard for me to say. I'm sure you've heard of Faker. Faker's like the esports GOAT, or so I'm told. Yeah, they've released serialized cards is basically what we're getting into here. They're releasing serialized cards with esports player signatures, which is insane. There's a serialized Faker signature out of 2,000 cards. So we were waiting for this. This confirms that they really care about the collectability. They care about the secondary market. They have no interest in creating this like quick money grab where they make the game really popular and then they print a bunch of sets and they get out, kind of like MetaZoo, like Lorcana did for a long time. Like One Piece didn't really do that. They just have slightly bigger reprints than maybe they should. But unlike, like Pokemon really cares about, like, they're not going to print a set into oblivion just for a cash grab. Like 151, they printed a lot. They knew it was very popular. They knew it would sell. Obviously, they do want to make money, but they didn't print it so much that like the product was just flooded everywhere. And for the next 10 years, it'll be under MSRP. They didn't do that because they know that that's not the way to keep your card game alive the longest. And this confirms that Riftbound is following that same path, that they really care about the market. And a lot of the people who play the card game don't know this, but I know that you guys do. If you care about your card game, whatever game it is, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Lorcana, Pokemon, One Piece, you need to know that the secondary market keeps the card game alive. If the secondary market and the collectibles market dies in a card game, the card game will be dead forever and it will never come back. So when people complain about people scalping Pokemon or One Piece or Lorcana or whatever it may be, if you don't have ultra collectible stuff in the game, and I'm not saying the game should be inaccessible, right? Maybe there's other decks, maybe the bulk cards like Pokemon. Pokemon does a great job. You can make a deck very, very inexpensively, but you can also make a deck very, very expensive. So it does a good job of satisfying both parties. If your secondary market on your card game dies, the game is dead, and nobody ever wants to buy it ever, basically. So if you like to play the card game, you should also care about the secondary market of the card game. So it's great that they're not printing it into the ground, and it's great that prices are going up so much because that shows you this is going to be around for a while. People really care about this, and people are willing to spend a lot of money on it. So you should be happy that you get to go along for the ride. Maybe you don't buy the $12,000 RE PSA 10, but maybe you have an RE overnumbered that you bought for a couple $100, or maybe you pulled one, or maybe you pulled a Vayne overnumber that's just gone crazy, or a shout out Rob, a Leona overnumbered. Your favorite character, whatever, and that all of a sudden goes up a lot. It's the same thing with Pokemon. Stay in the game, play the game, collect the cards. Just be along for the ride. Just let it go up. And when it goes up, don't freak out too much. And when it goes down, don't freak out too much. Just, what does Rudy say? Rudy says, down the path. Now I forget. He says, don't lose focus. I don't fucking know. Just stay in the game. Just you got to play the game to be in the game. So be in the game. You know what I'm saying? You got it. You got it. That's all I've got for this video. If I missed anything, or if you guys like this video, maybe want more Riftbound videos, let me know down below in the comments. We're going really big into Riftbound, and I think it's really, really good. The card quality is super awesome, and they show that they care about the collectors. So that's a great, great sign. We've already made our plays. That's why I'm making this video. We got in before the market exploded and before everybody knew that, hey, there's some opportunity here. So we'll start doing that more. We've always finding more opportunities. So let me know what you guys are doing down below. Just like me right now, I'm going to make a video about this next. SPCs, like the most obvious buy on the planet right now. They're like under 280. You get them for under 280 online. I might buy 45 of them. I genuinely, I have 5. A 5 or do I have 4? I think I have 4. I want to get 1 trillion of them. I'll buy the whole supply. I will buy the whole market. So if you're selling your SBCs, message me on Instagram. That's all I got for this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Bye.